Hello everyone and welcome back to the Successfully Balanced podcast. I am your host, Aria Bradley, and today I'm super excited to be chatting about discipline. This is a topic that has played such a huge role in my life, and I'm going to go through my story in a second, but I'm really excited to share this with you today. So if you're new to this podcast, hello, this podcast is for the ambitious women who really want to go above and beyond and just achieve some incredible things in their life in a way that doesn't require them to sacrifice their health and happiness. So if you're new here, hi, and if you enjoy this episode today, I would love if you could give it a rating on Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, ideally if you could rate it 5 stars, that would be amazing. It just helps this podcast get shared to even more people and just helps us help even more people. And then if you're on YouTube, if you can like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below and tell me, what have you found most informative about this? What have you taken away? What is something really valuable that you've taken away from this episode? That would genuinely mean the world to me. Actually, before we go through it, I actually just want to clarify though. So this podcast is called Successfully Balanced, and I had someone comment the other day saying that it was a bit of a dichotomy, the fact that I'm working so hard and still calling it balance. So I just want to clarify that. So what I really believe is that you can work really, really hard and also rest equally as hard. Like I am a very hard worker. In fact, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing pretty much like 60+ hour work weeks. That for some people is way too much, and I can completely understand that. But for other people, that is a part of that balance. And so there are also just so many seasons in life where sometimes you are working harder, and sometimes, sometimes I've had 10-hour work weeks. It really just depends. And so really the ultimate principle of this philosophy is that you can work really hard and also enjoy your life and also have fun. And I love my life and I take care of myself and I'm overall really healthy and I just feel really good. So even if I'm working really hard, I still have that balance. So it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Some people might find that working harder is part of their balance, whereas other people might find that working less is part of their balance. It's just all exists in the realm of successfully balanced. One thing I do at the start of every episode though is say one thing that I've been doing this week to work towards my goals, and then one thing that I've been doing to have some more balance. So this week has been really exciting because I have an opportunity which I can't actually tell you about yet, but I really want to. Basically, I've been doing training for potentially a job that I might get, but I can't say anything about it because it's literally my dream job. I wasn't actually looking for a job this year. I was very happy being a full-time creator, but when this opportunity came up, I was like, wait, this is actually like incredible. This is beyond even what I thought would be possible. So hopefully it works out, and I'll get you guys an update if it does. But this week has been really intense with like training and doing all the program and everything like that. So it's been very exciting. But then on the balance side of things, it has been so lovely to catch up with my friends this week. Yesterday I caught up with one of my friends. We had coffee, we went for a walk, and yeah, it was lovely. And then tonight I'm catching up with my boyfriend. We're going to watch more Bridgerton. We're currently rewatching the series, I know, and I'm just so excited for season 5 to come out. But then on Sunday night, I also have a friend coming back to my city. They've been away for the whole year, and we're catching up and doing our tradition of having sushi. So I'm really excited, and it's just been such a good week. But like you can still do that. This is just like proof to show that you can still do those things while working incredibly hard towards your goals. We also had our first coaching call for tier 1 of Elevate this morning, and it was amazing, and I'm just so grateful that I was able to share so much with the girls and just really leave them feeling so much more inspired and like they know what they're doing. So if you are interested in leveling up your life even further and you have the means to invest time, money, and effort into your growth, Elevate is the place for you. So I'll put a link in the description, and I might reference it a few times throughout this episode, but it is the place to be. So I would love to see you in there. Anyways, okay, let's get into the actual meat of the episode now. I'm actually pescatarian, but you know what I'm saying. So discipline is one of the fundamental aspects of becoming successful. I do not think that there is a single successful person who has not had discipline. I just think it's such a core element of getting to where you want to be, because essentially what discipline is choosing the thing that is more difficult in the moment for your future self to make it easier later on. Like it's sort of like choosing the hard thing now to make tomorrow easier, rather than just choosing what is easy now and then it will then make your life harder in the next, few days, months, years, whatever. So it's essentially choosing your future self and choosing future gains over what is most comfortable in the present. And something that I really want to clarify, and something that I think I say quite a lot, is that discipline is not punishment. Discipline should not feel like this grinding, grueling, difficult thing. Discipline is a loyalty to your future self. And when your future self is something that you are so deeply aligned with, and you really deeply align with the identity of where you want to be, like your higher self, discipline doesn't feel that hard. It feels natural. And I'll talk about that more later. But I just want to say that discipline should not feel like you are forcing yourself to wake up early and go to the gym and like do all these really difficult things. It should feel easy, which sort of feels counterintuitive because technically you should be choosing like the harder option. But when the harder option, so to say, aligns with your identity, it makes it easy. But I'll unpack that in a sec. But first of all, I want to sort of talk about my story with discipline, because it might look like now that I am super disciplined and I get out an episode pretty much every single week. I go to the gym at 5 a.m. every morning, which, by the way, guys, you don't have to do that. It's what I do because it works well with my life situation, but I am by no means saying that to be disciplined, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym and do all these things. It's literally just what works for me. So do not compare yourself, please. It is genuinely, it does not matter. But I used to be the girl that slept in until 11 a.m. every single morning. And it wasn't even just that. My parents literally had to come into my bedroom and squirt me with water to get me out for school. I was impossible. I was so badly disciplined. Like, it was literally just like, it's so hard to even think about who I was back then, because I feel like I've changed and evolved so much since then. But I remember, like, literally I would wake up, like, my school would start at 8:30 and I would wake up at like 8:02, and my parents would be like, Aria, what the hell are you doing? Like, get up, your school's about to start. And I'd be like, no, I want to sleep. That was me. Okay, so if I can be disciplined now and that's where I came from, I promise you can do it too. So you're probably wondering, what actually changed? How did I go from being super lazy and sleep in till like 11 a.m. to being where I am now? Well, I wish I could tell you that it was all internal work and like all, my deliberate effort, but something really important did happen, which I think had a really big role. Like, I actually can contribute a lot of my discipline now to this specific thing. When I was, how old was I? I think I was like 10 or 11, this poster appeared in my kitchen on the fridge, and I almost completely ignored it because it was about a karate program that was starting near my house. And I was like to my mum, I was like, oh, is that for my brother? And she was like, oh yeah, I was thinking you could go too. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I was just so completely adamant. I was like, I am not doing this. Like, you could not make me do it in 100 years. And mum was like, no, like, I'm pretty sure you got to do it. You'll love it. And I was like, I will not love it. Like, I promise you, just get this out of your brain. And I went into my room and I cried and I screamed into my pillow pretty much from when I saw that until my parents eventually dragged me. Like, they physically dragged me to karate, to the lesson. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. And it was so interesting because I was not expecting to enjoy it. I literally got there and I was so stubborn. I was like, I refuse to enjoy this. And then it got to the end of the lesson and I was like, Mum, I want to go back every week. And I did for about 5 years, and I became a black belt, and it was just one of the best experiences of my entire life. But what that taught me was, one, you should try new things and you should go out of your comfort zone. But two, when I was there, we had the main head of karate. His name's Kyoshi. So I don't know if that's the same in all karate statuses, but the main guy that taught our dojo was called Kyoshi. Well, his actual name was Mike, but his name was Kyoshi. And basically what would happen is, throughout the lesson when we were doing our katas and we were practicing and sparring, he would randomly shout out to the entire class 10-10. And what that meant was you had to drop down on the floor, you need to do 10 push-ups and 10 sit-ups, no excuses. Like, if you were standing around and you didn't want to do it, one of the other instructors would come along and be like, hey, get down and do it, And so what that really taught me is that, like, if someone else can shout at me and say, you do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, why can I not shout at myself and tell me to do something? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I listening more to someone else's instructions than my own? And so I think having had that experience for about 5 years of every single week, multiple times a week, having someone shout at me and tell me that I had to do something and me doing it and there was no way out of it, it really taught me that I can do hard things. And even if my, like, in my gradings, which were like our exams, I was physically shaking. Like, in my last round of sparring, I was actually sparring my dad, and I was like crying of like how much my body was shaking. I was completely exhausted. I'd been sparring for like 4 hours, and my dad actually fully accidentally punched me in the jaw. And so I was like crying. It was just absolutely horrible. But I knew I could complete it. And I did. I got my black belt, and it was such a monumental moment because I'd been through so much difficulty and gotten to the top. And so I think having that experience of pushing yourself through something really difficult and actually surmounting it and realizing, oh, I actually can do it, even though I didn't think I could. And even though it was hard, even though I was sweating and crying and everything, the whole time, you still could do it. And so I think the moral of that story is that it taught me that I can do hard things. And even if I don't want to do them, I can still do them. And often the things that you don't want to do is exactly the thing that is standing between you and the thing that you want. Like, I could not have gotten the black belt if I had not gone through that experience with sparring and gotten punched in the jaw. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, from then on, I have now stopped doing karate because of life situations, but I still carry the skills in my life every single day. And so what that means now is that I know that I can do hard things. As in, like, I know that when my alarm goes off at 5 a.m, I can snooze it. It's easy. But I also know that I can actually like turn it off and get out of bed and go to the gym. So not saying that you have to go pick up karate, that's just one method. And I think that it was a really good way to sort of fast track my progress when it came to learning about discipline and actually practicing it on a day-to-day basis. By no means that you need to do that, but I'm sort of explaining how that taught me discipline. But I think the biggest lesson that came out of it, and sort of the moral of most of what I'm going to be talking about in this episode, is that discipline, yes, it is difficult. Like, yes, there are things that you don't want to do and you're going to do them anyway, but Something that I learned that is sort of the root of that, and the reason that I was able to be so disciplined and for so long, and that I still am today, is because my discipline aligned with my identity. This is something that I workshop so much and Elevate. Like, it's one of the things, like, as soon as you join tier 1, this is something that we dive into so much about how to build your discipline and how to build self-trust, and so that you can actually follow through. Because a lot of girls that join Elevate, they feel like they cannot follow through to save their life. And that used to be me. Like, if I wrote a plan for myself, I knew I wasn't going to follow through. I was like, oh yeah, I'll write myself like a workout plan. I knew when it got to Monday morning, I was not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was so bad at following through. And that's what a lot of the girls that join Elevate are like. And so often that's the thing that you have to work on most. And so in tier 1, that is like one of the first things you learn. When you have the identity of someone who naturally does that thing, you don't need to force it. And that is why when it comes to building my discipline in any area of life, I work with the identity first. When you have the identity of someone who naturally does that thing, you don't need to force yourself to do it. And that is why every time that I set myself a goal or have a new habit or something that I want to build and it requires discipline, I don't focus on doing the action. I focus on building my identity up so that I am the kind of person that would do that action without even questioning it. For example, if I wanted to become someone who went to the gym every single day, which is what I do now, I wouldn't start by putting in my schedule, like, I'm going to go to the gym. I mean, like, yes, that's important too, but as in, like, you can't just rely on that. I'm not going to just set my alarm and just my active out. I actually need to train my brain to understand and know and assume that I am someone who goes to the gym every single morning, so that when my alarm goes off, when it is scheduled in my calendar, when I do see my active on the floor, that it actually becomes easy for me to do that action. So you're probably wondering, how do you actually do that? First of all, I want you to start by observing your current self-talk. This is going to feel like a bit of a psychology lesson now, but basically your thoughts dictate your feelings dictate your actions, and your actions dictate your results. So if you currently think about yourself, I'm so lazy, you're going to feel like you're someone who can't follow through. You're going to feel lazy, you're going to feel unmotivated. And then as a result, your action is going to be like just not doing it. And then the action is going to be, well, you didn't do it. Whereas if you have the thought of, I am so disciplined, I follow through, your feeling is going to be like, yeah, I feel motivated, I feel in control, I feel determined. And then as a result, the action will be that you do the thing. And then as a result, the result is that you have done the thing. And so if you can start to understand what is the default self-talk track that you play in your mind, is it, I'm so lazy, I can't follow through, and even things that you say out loud, like when you're talking to your friends, do you call yourself someone who is undisciplined? Do you say to your friends, yeah, I just don't have the discipline to do this? Because if you're doing that, your brain is always listening to everything you're saying. I want you to start imagining that every single thing that you say is like a spell and it casts it out into the world, whether that's in your mind or in real life. When you say something, it makes it true. So I would not even think to say to my friends, oh my God, I'm just so lazy. Like, I don't have the discipline for it, because I know that's not true about myself. But I had to say that before I even had collected proof that that was true. Because the thing is, it doesn't really go like, you going to the gym and then that proving that you're disciplined, because I mean, yes, that does add to it, but really it comes from you deciding that you're a disciplined person. You go to the gym every morning, that will lead you to do the action of going to the gym every morning that will then reinforce that belief. So just start noticing from now on, notice what that self-talk track is in your head, and notice when you're talking to your friends, are you saying, oh my God, I'm so lazy and I can't do this to save my life? Or are you someone that says like, hey, I'm working on it. I'm working on my discipline at the bare minimum, because it's really difficult, of course, to jump from 0 to 100. So if saying I'm so disciplined feels just completely unnatural in your body, you can say, I'm actually working on it. Every single time that I practice my discipline, I get better at it. And then over time, you'll be able to build that up to then believing that you are someone who is really disciplined. In Elevate, I sort of teach this as a lesson called the 2% shifts. So thinking of like a more empowering thought, and then every single day leveling up by 2% in a slightly more empowering thought until you get to that ultimate empowering thought. And then that's like where you want to be eventually. So essentially what I want to say there is that when you focus more on rewiring your identity, the discipline and the actions that come from that discipline will just come naturally. You don't have to force them. For example, I don't go to the gym at 5 a.m. because I think that I have to or think that I should. It's just naturally aligned with the person that I believe I am, which is someone that goes to the gym every morning and someone that is committed to taking care of her health and her body and her energy. And so going to the gym is just what is the easiest and most aligned thing to do. In fact, now if I don't go to the gym, I feel worse. Like I feel like, oh my goodness, what is this? Like I haven't gone to the gym. Oh, that's uncomfortable, because it's so out of alignment with my identity. So essentially with that mindset, going to the gym is not difficult at all. And now it's actually harder for me to not go to the gym. Now, I've talked about going to the gym for like this whole episode, but I do want to clarify something. First of all, discipline doesn't just involve going to the gym. It's just, I think, the easiest example because it's something that a lot of people tend to struggle with, because it's hard to get up early and to get yourself out in the cold and go and work out. It's hard. But discipline can show up in so many areas of your life. Like even the space around you, how tidy it is. Like it takes discipline to tidy stuff and put stuff away. It takes discipline to post content. It takes discipline to put yourself out there. It takes discipline to brush your teeth and to do anything really that takes more effort than just like scrolling on your phone. Also, just want to pop in here quickly and say that I have put a free PDF in the description. It is basically based on everything I've spoken about in this episode. So if you want to check it out, it's just below. You just need to put in your email and then I'll send it straight to you. But I really hope you find it helpful, just because I find that sometimes if I just listen to episodes or watch YouTube videos, I find that I don't really action on it. And so I made this just so that you can actually put into action the things that I say and actually it have an impact on your life, if that makes sense. Anyways, back to the episode. And so something that I do want to say is that you can be disciplined in one area and not others, but I wouldn't necessarily call that well-rounded discipline. Plenty of people can be disciplined in an area of their lives or so, but overall, if you were to ask them are they a disciplined person, they might be like, oh yeah, I'm disciplined at going to the gym. I've said it again. But then they'd be like, oh yeah, but I cannot post content to save my life. Like I want to, but I just don't have the discipline to do it. And so essentially you repeat the process of what I really talked about in any area that you care and you want to be disciplined in. And then overall that then builds into a sense of discipline overall in any area that you set your mind to. For example, right now, I know that I could achieve anything I set my mind to because I know that I have the discipline to do it. Right now, I wanted to get into Harvard, I know I could do it. If right now I wanted to join NASA, I know I could do it. Technically, yes, statistically speaking, it's difficult, but I know that I have the discipline to do what is required to get me there. But do I care about doing those things? No, not really. Not right now, at least. So for the foreseeable future, I won't be training my discipline in those areas because it just doesn't matter to me. But if I was to care about those things, I would rewire my identity to believe that I am someone who works really hard to get into NASA or whatever big name you want to put out there. So that is really the root of it. Choose the identity that you want, workshop it so hard that it feels like second nature. Like your self-talk track of being a disciplined person, that should be second nature. And as soon as that happens, being disciplined and doing the actions that are required to take you there are going to be so damn easy. So if you can master that, then you're pretty good to go. However, there are a couple of quick little hacks which I feel like you guys might benefit from. So there's a couple of things which you can also do to strengthen and build and just make your discipline stronger. Quick hot chocolate break though. This one's from Panna Organic. They are so good. Okay, so the first hack, so to speak, and honestly I could make an entire episode about this, is doing a dopamine detox, or at least not going on your phone for the first hour of the day. I think I have actually made an entire episode about this before, and I definitely should make one again because it is so important and have such a big impact. Like honestly, if you do none of the other hacks, if you can at least do this, you will be in such a good position. Now, the reason this is so important is because a lot of our actions are controlled by a chemical called dopamine, which is basically released when we get rewarded. So when we scroll on social media, it is technically a reward. Your brain is getting stimulated and you feel good. But the problem is that artificial sources of stimuli, like social media, like watching Netflix, like things like that, they raise our dopamine so much higher than you naturally ever could if you were just like a caveman in the jungle. That's a bit extreme, you know what I'm saying? And so in this modern era, when we are then to try to do something else like reading or going to the gym or, anything else that takes discipline, it is so much harder because they are comparatively less stimulating activities. Like if you think about it, all the things that we all try to be disciplined about tend to be things that are less stimulating. So obviously in this modern era, it is really difficult to completely cut out any artificial sources of stimuli, but what you can do is just at least not go on your phone for the first hour of the day. Obviously everyone's situation is different. Like for example, I use my phone in the morning to listen to a podcast when I'm at the gym, but for the most part, not scrolling on social media when you first wake up because that brings your dopamine so damn high and it's so difficult to bring it to normal after that. But when you kind of regulate your dopamine and generally just keep it pretty stable, it becomes so much easier to do those other things. It ultimately is just a cheat code for doing the hard things in life and getting addicted to doing hard things. I should make a whole episode on that. Should I do that? Maybe the week after next, I'll do one, how to be addicted to hard things. I'm going to write that episode now. The second one is kind of similar, but to cut out distractions. Now, this one actually does have a lot of overlap with the other one. For example, with social media, if you can cut that out to some extent, then by all means do that. Obviously, that's not realistic for everyone. I mean, I'm a content creator. I can't just delete Instagram, But perhaps there's certain things that you tend to do. Like maybe every single weekend you go out partying. That's not going to be great for your discipline. Obviously, you live your life. You do whatever you want to do. But I'm just saying, if you want to work on your discipline, some things like that, some distractions are not going to help. So just keep that in mind. Number 3, and this is really important for keeping your word to yourself and knowing and trusting that you will follow through. And this is something we talk about in Elevate as well. But actually starting with really small actions that you know you can follow through with, and then over time building that up to then bigger actions. Because if you know right now that if you set your alarm tomorrow morning, you're not going to get up, then you got to start off with something really small. Like rather than setting your alarm to get up to go to the gym, just set your alarm to get up and I don't know, roll over in bed. I don't know, just start really small. And so something that you can actually follow through with, and it doesn't take very much effort. And then over time, you can build it up. And then the last one is to find an accountability buddy. Right now, mine is my boyfriend because he picks me up every single morning for gym. And so like, if I don't get up, then that's a problem because he's going to be waiting for me. And so that could be like, okay, you want to find someone else who's in content creation and you want to keep each other accountable for posting every single day. Whoever it is, just make sure that they have an equal or higher level of discipline than you, because you know, if they start slacking, then you're going to start slacking and it's just not going to go well. So those are the hacks. I really hope that helped, and I really hope this entire episode helped. I really enjoyed talking about it. I think this was one of my longer ones that I've done recently, which I think is good because I just want to be able to provide as much value as I can. If you do want to learn more and you are so committed to leveling up and going above and beyond in your life, the link to join Elevate is below. I would love to see you in that. Like, it is just such a cool program. I know I feel like I'm tooting my own horn, but genuinely, like, I would pay 20 times the price to learn everything that is in there. So if you're interested, the link is in the description. Otherwise, I have as well actually put a free PDF in the description for how to develop your discipline and some actionable things that you can actually take away and do in your life. So that is there in the description. I really hope that you find it helpful. And if you did, rate this podcast on Spotify. Amazing if you could do 5 stars. And if you leave a comment down below and just tell me how this podcast has changed your life, that would mean the world to me. So thank you so much. And I hope you have the most amazing week. So see you in the next one. Bye guys.